Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivedanta Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivedanta
Green light. It's not on. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Prashyata Desatarine Should be green light. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivedanta Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivedanta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Hare
Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare
Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Gokul Nand Radha Gokul Nand Radhe. Jaya Radha Nandanishwar Radha Nandanishwar Radhe.
Jaya Radha Nandanishwar Radha Nandanishwar Radhe.
Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman, Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman.
Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman, Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman.
Jaya Gauranita, Jaya Gauranita, Jaya Gauranita, Jaya Gauranita. Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada.
Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Gurudev.
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharne Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Pastyata Veshatarane Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhu Vyevacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. We are so delighted to welcome His Holiness Radhanath Swami at Bhaktivedanta Manor. We feel very privileged, very grateful that he's come to give us his darshan. Bhaktivedanta Manor is meant for a place of spiritual education and spiritual inspiration, and we can find both spiritual education and spiritual inspiration by hearing from His Holiness Radhanath Swami. So we are so grateful, so happy to have him here. Thank you so much, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Thira Panachari Jamuna Thira Panachari Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Jamuna Thira Banachari. Jamuna Thira Banachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Timidandasya Gyananjanachalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Jatapatakamallam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahakana Raghunathan Vidam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahakana Lalita Sri Vishakan Vitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanda Radha Kanda Namostate. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Ranamami Hari Priye. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patithanam Bhavanibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Binda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Astatyate Shatarine. Hare Krishna. Maharaj Haribo. Dhanavats. Chandramali Swami Maharaj ki jai. I am truly grateful, happy, and honored to be with you tonight. Thank you for coming. In the fourth chapter of Bhagavad-gita, Krishna speaks a verse which is so inclusive to explain the path of bhakti in its essence, and so often cited by our acharyas, especially our beloved Srila Prabhupada. Vitaraga bhayakroda manmaya mamupashrita bahavo jnana tapasa putamad bhavamagataha. Being freed from attachment, fear, and anger. Being fully absorbed in thinking of me and taking refuge in me. Many, many great souls of the past have been purified by knowledge of me and have thus attained transcendental love for me. This verse follows one of the most widely known verses of the Gita. Janma karma cha me divyam evam yoveti tattvata tyaktva deham punarjana naiti mam eti surjana. One who understands the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities. Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavats. Hare Krishna. This is a great festival for my heart to see both of you. One who understands the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities never takes birth again in this material world, but attains my abode. An important part of this verse is to never take birth in this material world again. To understand that part is prerequisite to attaining Krishna's abode. And this doesn't only mean materially taking a body again. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he praised Nadanamna Janamna Sundarim Kavitam Vajagadishaka. Mama Janmani Janmanishwari Bhavatad Bhakti Rohaiti Kitvai. I do not come to pray to you, my beloved Lord, for wealth, property, prestige, any form of sensory enjoyment, fame, scholarship, powers, not even liberation from suffering. Let me just be your servant, unconditionally, birth after birth after birth. So here Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he's giving us an understanding what it means to not take birth in this material world again. It means in whatever situation we may be in this world or in this spiritual world, that our aspiration in life, our goal and purpose is unconditional devotional service. And that state of consciousness is actually what it means to never take birth in this material world. In the 9th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, just prior to Krishna's appearance, Sukadeva Goswami tells the story of Ranti Dev. And he's praying to Krishna that in whatever birth I take, let me be willing to live and die and accept any type of inconvenience for the well-being of others. So although Krishna is telling one who always remembers and understands his transcendental nature, never takes birth in the material world again, but attains my abode, the devotees are willing to be anywhere, in his abode or in the material world, wherever you'd like me to serve you. In the Mahaprakash Leela of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the most exalted, the most pure-hearted, loving servants of the Lord, eternal servants of the Lord, are offered any benediction. And none of them asked to be out of this world. And none of them asked to be in this world. Murari Gupta, he just wanted to be even a dog outside the house of a devotee so he could take the remnants of that devotee Haridas Thakur prayed for that too. Kolavecha Sridhar. He rejected liberation and elevation to the spiritual world. In whatever birth I take, let me always just be there so that Nimai could come and steal my bananas. Mukunda Dutt. Whatever situation I'm in, my Lord, let me just remember you with love. This is the mood of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and all of his associates. Unconditional, unmotivated devotional service. And to not be in this world means that our aspiration for pure devotion is not distracted by the things of this world. Vitaraga bhayakroda manmaya mamupashata bahavo jnanata vasaputma bhavam agataha. Krishna tells being freed from attachment, fear, and anger. Fully absorbed with your mind in remembering me. Taking refuge of me. Many, many great personalities of the past have become purified through transcendental knowledge of me, and thus attained love for me. With all of the complexities, the disappointments, the betrayals, the sufferings that happen in this world to ourselves, to people we care about, how to be happy, how to be free of fear and attachment, and how to transcend anger. Krishna explains the process of Krishna consciousness is to be fully absorbed in Krishna, to seek shelter in Krishna. I was hearing a recording, Srila Prabhupada was explaining that real devotional service begins when we lose our taste for the material world. And the inevitable sufferings that come to us, if we just recognize them for what they are. It's quite foolish to be attached to them. Krishna describes material enjoyment to be the sources of misery. We become attached to something, someone, and inevitably it either disappoints us or it's taken away. How to be happy. The joy is that the soul is eternal. And Krishna has revealed his wonderful pastimes so that we can remember him and take shelter of him. With the aspiration to love him. When Krishna was a little baby, he was just a few months old, about 6, 7 months old. He was just starting to lean up, and there was a big festival in Vrindavan. Actually, it was Gokul Mahaban. And Srila Prabhupada writes that at the time of Krishna, and in Vedic culture in general, there was a celebration for every stage of life. So Krishna, he hadn't yet learned how to walk. He was just starting to lean up and sit up by himself. And at that time, so many Brahmins were performing yagyas and chanting mantras, and the Brijabasis were very, very well dressed for the celebration. Nanda Maharaj was giving gifts. Yashoda Mai was greeting everyone. There was so much prasad. There was music. There was a festival. Why? Because Krishna is starting to sit up on his own. That's a major step. And there was so many people, and it was such a wonderful and busy time. Yashoda Mai was carrying Krishna in her arms, and Krishna looked really, really tired. And she was very tired, and she had to greet a lot of guests. And Srila Prabhupada explains what the culture was at that time. Yashoda Mai, she didn't just put Krishna to sleep. She never did that. Whether it was the day or night, when Krishna was very young, Yashoda Mai would always lay down next to him, so that the little child felt the complete shelter of the closeness of his mother. And she'd stay there until he was sound asleep. Then Yashoda Mai, she placed him under this large hand cart in a nice little soft cushion. And then she went, greeting the guests. Nobody knew, but an asura, a very demonic being who had a ghostly body, he entered in that handcart. It had many pots and pans and so many things on it. And his purpose was to crush baby Krishna. And Krishna knew it. He's just a little baby. Some of the little children, they were around, so they saw everything and gave a good report. What happened is Krishna was thirsty to drink the milk from his mother. So he cried. He woke up and he cried because his mother was not there. And he just gently kicked his foot. He touched the wheel, and the little touch of his lotus foot was probably this big. The wheel broke. It flew out from its axis, or the axle, And then the whole cart came tumbling down. And Sakatasura was dead. Krishna killed one of the most powerful demons in the creation incidentally. He was a little baby. The demon was really a mystic, extremely powerful, all sorts of cities. But Krishna, he was crying for his mother. That's how insignificant he considered that demon as a little baby. He was crying for his mother, and incidentally, while he was trying to get his mother's attention, he touched with his foot. This is Vrindavan. In other incarnations, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he fights wars with weapons. Varahadev, we read about, because there was Hiranyaksha, who was exploiting Mother Earth of her resources, and Mother Earth was in the bottom of the Garbhodak ocean, and the sages and the rishis and Mother Earth herself in a helpless condition was praying to Vishnu to help. And Lord Brahma, what to do? Only Krishna could help us. So he started to pray, and from his nose a little tiny boar came out, the size of a thumb. He went into the sky and started growing until he was so big. He dove down, picked up the earth with his tusks, went through the ocean, put the earth planet, Mother Earth, back in her axis. And meanwhile, Hiranyaksha was chasing him all the way, challenging him to fight, insulting him. Come back, come back. But Varahadev, his vairagya, his opulence of detachment, he really couldn't care less what these people say about him. He wants to make the earth happy. Mother Earth, Bhumi. And after that, he came back, and there was a great fight. Srimad Bhagavatam describes Hiranyaksha, what kind of powers he had. And finally, Varahadevi kicked him with his hoof and then stabbed him with his tusk after a mighty long battle, and like a banana tree cut down by a tornado cyclone wind, he fell dead. And of course, Vamanadev, when it was time for him to reclaim the property of Bali Maharaj, he came as a little dwarf, but then in order to serve his purpose, he grew into a massive size. With 2 steps, he covered the universe. There was no other land in this entire universe for him to put his 3rd step. And Lord Narasimhadev, with his mighty roar, he had a gigantic form, and with his claws, he ripped open Hiranyakashipu. After a long battle, Lord Ramchandra, Kumbhakarna, Ravana, so many others with his bows and arrows, cutting off their heads, piercing their hearts. And here's Krishna. When Krishna's in Dwarka, he has club, he has Sudarshan Chakra, he also has his bows and arrows. But in Vrindavan, he's a little baby, and a demon of the same caliber as Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu, and Ravana, and all these others, He's come to kill Krishna in such a devious way. He possesses the body of just a simple Brijavasi cart that Yashodamai puts Krishna under. Krishna didn't grow. He didn't have any weapons. He didn't even care. He just wanted to see his mother, and his foot touches. That is Krishna. Bhaktivedanta Thakur tells that Sakatasura, he represents the old and new bad habits that we carry around with us. They're a great obstacle. Do any of you have any old or new bad habits that are obstacles for your devotional service? There are so many. How to be free from them? By taking shelter, by absorbing ourselves in remembering Krishna. Krishna has appeared in his holy names to make himself so accessible to anyone and everyone. If we're just sincere. Yesterday we were speaking about a leper named Vasudev. What was his qualification? He was taking shelter of Krishna with all his heart. The community of devotees that is our service, to create an environment where we can help one another to take shelter of Krishna. And together, as a community, local, national, international, we can inspire others to take shelter of Krishna. And all the obstacles of this world, Taiviheshu gunamayi mama maya duratyaya, they're very difficult to overcome. But one who takes shelter of me, Krishna tells, can easily cross beyond them. Srila Prabhupada on behalf of the Srimad Bhagavatam and all of our great acharyas, he warns us that we cannot make our devotional service conditional to the circumstances around us. That is an integral element of sincerity. Krishna tells in Gita, Matras parashastu konteya sitosna sukha dukata agama payano nityastam statikshasva bharata. The non-permanent appearance and disappearance of happiness and distress, honor, dishonor, pleasure, pain, success, failure, all these dualities. They are coming and going like the summer and winter seasons. One must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. Tam statiksha svabharata. And Srila Prabhupada defines this titiksha, this tolerance. It doesn't mean that it doesn't affect us. Physically, we may feel pain. Emotionally, we may feel pain. Our hearts might be broken by situations. Srila Prabhupada explains that's natural. But our service of trying to please our gurus and Krishna, our trying to be fully absorbed in Krishna in this way, that is not disturbed. I was actually, somebody called me and told me just a couple of weeks ago or a few weeks ago, it was very hot here in England. I think you had a really historical heat wave. And probably you're not so prepared for it. But even when it's 104 degrees Fahrenheit, 42 degrees Celsius, something like that, we know that winter's coming and we're going to be freezing. And we may not have the fuel or the petrol to even keep our house warm. That's a reality. At least that's what people are saying. In other words, we can't be waiting for situations to change. We have a priority. What is the purpose of life? What is my purpose of being a devotee? What is my purpose of being a mother, of being a father, of being a god brother, god sister, of being a friend, of being a servant of God? What is really my purpose? It's easy to lose our faith unless we understand Krishna consciousness from that perspective. Because the world doesn't change when we become devotees. Abramabhavanaloka. The world is essentially a place of misery and death. It's not pessimistic, it's just realistic. And the beauty and the happiness of the world is actually when we can perceive a situation in relation to the source of beauty and happiness, which is Krishna. How wonderful is Krishna. As a little baby, he's incidentally killing demons. And when we remember him, when we chant his holy names, when we hear about him, when we share stories about him and share his wonderful teachings from Bhagavad-gita with each other, we're actually inviting Krishna in our heart to do that very thing. with one little kick of his foot, he can kick away all our bad habits. The question is, do we want him to do it? Usually what happens is when he tries to kick it, we're holding on to it. No, not this, Krishna. I want to surrender, but my way. Not this way. And it's sad, it's heartbreaking, some of the situations that come upon us, but surrender is not to be mean toward this world. It means to be compassionate in our life, but to turn to Krishna in all situations that come to us. And to find happiness with the opportunity to turn to God. Just before coming, I heard Srila Prabhupada talking to someone here in London in 1973. And Srila Prabhupada said, a devotee is concerned with the light and at the same time identifies and deals with the darkness. And Srila Prabhupada quoted this verse, Om apavitra pavitro va sarvavastam gatopi va yasmaret pundarikaksham sabhayabhyantara suchi. He said, Krishna's all good. And if we actually remember Krishna, we become good. And Prabhupada was saying, if you focus on the darkness of this world, you become dark. We're concerned with the light, but we identify and deal with the darkness. But the problem is our habitual tendency is we become absorbed in that darkness. We become absorbed in other people's faults. We may recognize in a practical and effective way, but we should not fall prey to getting absorbed in the faults and the darkness of this world. Krishna says, fully absorbed in me, man maya mamupashrita, fully absorbed in me, taking refuge in me. It is the Sakatasura habit we have, that we absorb ourselves in all these petty things and all these faults and everything else going on in the world. And it creates so much quarrel and so much hypocrisy and so much anxiety and so much fear. When Srila Prabhupada was on Jaladuta, what was his prayer? He was praying to Krishna, please give me the words and give them the ability. Please let me speak your words, Krishna, and give these people the power to understand your words so that they could be happy. Srila Prabhupada wanted everyone to be happy. Krishna wants everyone to be happy. But to explain the nature of the miseries of material existence and to teach people how to navigate through them by being absorbed in Krishna and taking refuge in Krishna and responding in the spirit of a servant of Krishna, that's actually the road to happiness. The happiness of the self. So I'm just so happy to be with all of you here at Bhaktivedanta Manor after a long time. To be happy with each other in the association of devotees. Just before this program, your name again, Prabhu? Divyanam, Prabhu. He brought many of the devotees who were distributing sets of Srimad Bhagavatam for the Bhadra Purnima book distribution effort, led by Vaisheshika Prabhu, Nirakula Devi, all over the world. And those people, all ages, from so many different backgrounds, were so happy because they had the opportunity to somehow place sets of Srila Prabhupada's Srimad Bhagavatam in people's homes. And inspiring one another to do the same. And before that, I was meeting with Vishaka Prabhu. She's always so kind to me and trying to engage me in Srila Prabhupada's service. She brought some of the members of the Pujari department. And what is a Pujari? Their whole life is just what will make Krishna happy. You know, when we say a flower, we can think so many things about the flower. But a Pujari is just practically everything. A sincere Pujari is seeing what it will look like on the deities, how it could be offered to the deities, how it will taste to the deities, how it will smell to the deities, how it will feel to the deities. Actually, every role of every service in Krishna consciousness is an opportunity to be absorbed in thinking of pleasing Krishna. And to share the happiness of that. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked Ramananda Rai what is the greatest suffering, and Ramananda Rai said, to be without the association of devotees is the only suffering I know. Now, sometimes we really suffer because of the association of devotees. That means there's something wrong. We're supposed to be inspiring, enlivening, empowering people with a happiness toward pure devotional service. Lifting each other higher and higher toward Krishna. Actually, I just came to London a few days ago, and it is the first time I've been here since our beloved Shrutidharma Prabhu has been taken by Srila Prabhupada and Radha Gokulananda. And there was a part of me that really just had no more interest in coming to England anymore without him. Because from the first time I started coming here as a devotee, he was always there at the airport, along with Pranabandhu Prabhu, to greet me. And basically, I would just come and try to assist him. He was such an embodiment of humility and surrender. He really just did not have a false ego. He was just a truly humble, surrendered soul who wanted the best for everyone. And loving devotional service to Krishna, bhakti, is what's best for everyone. And he just knew, how to somehow or other adjust to each person to give them Krishna consciousness, including me. So yes, coming here after a couple years without him, it's like a dreary void. But in that dreary void, in these feelings of separation, there's happiness. Because in remembering him, in remembering his dedication, Shruti Dharma Prabhu and Pranabandhu Prabhu, their steadiness. They went through so many almost impossible storms here. Most of us weren't around in those days. There were challenges. Political, physical, sociological, devotional, on every level. And so many people, naturally, you can't, with no fault, but they became disheartened or withdrew. But Shruti Dharma Pranabandhu, they just kept going. And that's so much a very significant part of the reason of why we're all here today. It's true. Death will come to everyone. But what is life? In order to understand what is death, we have to understand what is life. And in order to really understand what is life, we have to understand it in relationship to death. What was it that Shruti Dharma Prabhu was giving us? He was an empowered instrument of Srila Prabhupada and Krishna's grace. And when we remember his example, we remember his words, our interactions. When we remember his life of surrender, our relationship. On a spiritual level, he's there. It's Krishna's love that's reaching through him to us. And in separation, Krishna's love not only continues, but can increasingly come through us. This is also the first time I've been here since His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj has left us. Shruti Dharma Prabhu he would devise so many creative ways of giving me the association of Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj. Were any of you here when we went on that boat ride in the River Thames? And then we were on another boat that went to other countries. Yes. As Prabhupada's with us when we remember him, so are those who love Srila Prabhupada when we remember them. I'm saying Madhvacharya Prabhu and Kunti Devi and Bhuta Bhavana Prabhu, Gopal, maybe here, disciples, Chitta Saki Devi, disciples of Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj. And when we see all of you, we feel a deep sadness of loneliness from Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj. But then as we enter into that experience, we feel the joy of his association. We feel the joy of his blessings. This is the beauty of Krishna consciousness. Even death cannot separate us. These great souls, when Krishna decides to take them, breaks our hearts, puts us in this void. But in that void of separation, we actually can feel the blessings and the presence of these great souls. And we're together. And somehow or other, while we have these bodies that are going to break down very soon, while we have these old bodies, we shouldn't waste time. We should share the precious blessings we have received from all of these great souls, as they did when they had their little bodies. Yes, in this way life really becomes precious. When we don't recognize how precious our life is, we waste our lives. You don't waste something when you recognize that it's precious. We waste things when we take them for granted, take it to be ordinary. Every moment that we have with each other to share the precious blessings of Srila Prabhupada and all those great souls who Srila Prabhupada has taken from us, and all those great souls that Srila Prabhupada is, for the time being, keeping with us. That's the happiness of Krishna consciousness, to share. And that's so much the process of being absorbed in Krishna. Thank you very much. Janananda Maharaj, Chandramali Swami Maharaj, would you like to speak something?
Thank you for coming here again, Maharaj, after so long.
They're bringing a microphone for you, actually.
I was just saying thank you so much, Maharaj, for coming and sharing your association with us. I give it an association of so many other great souls by reminding us of their service and presence.
Thank you.
Thinking positively of devotees. So wonderful. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Maharaj, stay with us for a long time because we need you.
Chandramali Maharaj is always merciful to me.
I'm just reflecting what I'm getting. So. No, Maharaj, you were talking how, the body breaks down and time is the factor that's going to bring an end to our physical existence here. But I was thinking, don't leave us, stay around for as long as we can, be here to be with you.
Thank you. I used to milk cows and bring the milk to Chandramali Maharaj to cook it into milk sweets, and then he would cook it and give it to me, and I would offer it to the deities. And then after I would take it off to the altar, he would transfer the plates. So we had, it's like... We had a system.
Yeah. I learned it from you because I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what I was doing. I just was watching you and you were teaching me what I was supposed to be doing.
I like that.
You also said that I was somewhat in the mood of Mother Yasoda, so I took that as a great compliment. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Vishaka Prabhu, would you like to speak something for enlightening and blessing us?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, we're so grateful to you. You can see how many devotees are so keen to hear your Krishna Katha, because you speak it with such relevance and such intimacy that we're all drawn to hearing these pastimes again and again. So we implore you to spend as much time as you can with us. We're in great need of being enlivened in Krishna consciousness, and you do it so superlatively. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Shall we have Kirtan? Who is the best mridanga players here? Is Gopal here? Play real simple. Please. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine. Shiny Tide, you play Mridanga? Who? Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Desatharine. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Nitai Gaur Hadipo, 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 Hadipo. Gaur Premanandi. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namo. Thank you very much.
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Dharma Shiva Sati Gaur Bhaktivedanta Manor. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sati Gaur Bhaktivedanta. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Radha Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivedanta Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama.